to move his family 5 times in 5 months. He served in Congress without pay. His family in poverty and in hiding. Vandals looted the properties of Ellery and Clymer and Hall and Gwinnett and Walton and Hayward and Rutledge and Middleton and Floyd. Thomas Nelson Jr. of Virginia raised $2 million on his own signature to provision our allies, the French fleet. After the war, he personally paid back the loans, wiping out his entire estate. He was never reimbursed by his government. In the final battle for Yorktown, Nelson, ordered Washington to fire on Nelson's own home, which was occupied by Cornwallis. He died bankrupt. Thomas Nelson Jr. had pledged his life, his fortune, and his sacred honor. The Hessians seized the home of Francis Hopkinson of New Jersey. Francis Lewis had his home and everything destroyed. His wife imprisoned. She died within a few months. Richard Stockton, who signed that declaration, was captured, mistreated by the enemy, to the point that his health was broken and he died at 51. His estate was pillaged. Thomas Hayward Jr. was captured when Charleston fell. John Hart was driven from his wife's bedside while she was dying. Their 13 children fled in all directions for their lives. His fields in Gristmill were laid waste. For more than a year, he lived in forests and caves and returned home after the war to find his wife dead, his children gone, his properties gone. He died a few weeks later. Richard Stockton lost his home and all of his property. John Hancock, history remembers best due to a quirk of fate. That great sweeping signature attesting to his vanity towers over the others. One of the wealthiest men in New England. One terrible night of the war, he stood outside Boston and said, "Burn Boston, though it makes John Hancock a beggar, if the public good requires it." He too lived up to the pledge. Now let's get away from Paul Harvey. In this country, we've started removing statues of these men and the leaders that made this country all through its history. Last week in the paper, the University of Cincinnati took the name of the founder of that university off of the university. They're purging the records that he even ever lived. Charles McMaster. He donated almost all of his estate when he died in 1858 to the city of Cincinnati to build a university. And they're stripping his name as if he never lived. When you take the name of someone off of the public record, is there any record that they ever lived? I have great faith in this city council. You won't let that happen in Tomball, Texas. And I love you for it. Because I'm sure that we would never want Hamp's name to be removed because somebody 200 years from now found something that they didn't like about him, and we take Hap Harrington's name off the city record. Mayor Fagin, Mayor Quinn, if you forget your history, you're destined to lose this country. That these men paid the price that we might have the liberties and freedoms that we have. Would you join me in prayer? Almighty God, thank you so much for this city council. Thank you for the city. Thank you for the residents of this city that selected these men and women to represent them. Father, this council has done great work in the past, and I have great confidence that the work of the future will be even grander. Father, many things come before them, and I know that they will use the wisdom that they receive from you, Almighty God, so that they might help to make the right decision. Thank you so much for Tomball. Thank you for Texas. Thank you for the United States of America. And mostly, thank you for our heritage, the men and women that walked before us, that set the example of good citizenship. May we follow in their footsteps and strive to be as honorable as they were. Thank you for our ancestors. And thank you for Jesus. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
At this time, if you've ever worn the uniform of our country and have an honorable discharge, you now by law are allowed to render a hand salute as you would have done when you wore the uniform of our country. One of those times that you would render a hand salute is during the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, either put your hand over your heart or render a hand salute if you serve in uniform and have an honorable discharge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bear with me on this one. I allegiance to our Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Chaplain Allison, thank you so much. Thank you for doing that. It's think of the 56 men who signed our Declaration of Independence. They risked it all. They sacrificed it all.
Wouldn't it be a shame?
Thank you.
We're stripped from the history of the United States of America. God forbid.
At this time, next item on the agenda is public comments. Doris, do we have anyone signed up to speak?
I have no one signed up for public comments.
Okay. Is there anyone who has not signed up that would like to speak? 2 minutes. Okay. We will move on to presentations, reports and announcements. Presentation. Anyone? Okay. Tomball City Pool is open. Jerry Matheson Pool Park will be open from 10 to 6 Tuesday through Friday, noon till 8 on Saturday and Sunday through August 14th. End of the season hours after August 20 to 21st, August 27th to 28th, September 3rd and 4th. On September 5th, which is Labor Day, it will be open from 10 to 6 to close out the swim season, and the other times from noon to 8. They're closed every Monday for cleaning. Tomball Kids Club activities, July 7th. So that is starting up 7th, 12th, 14th, 19th, 21st, 26th, 28th, August 2nd, 4th, 9th, and 11th from 10 to 12 at Juergens Park Pavilion. And July 9th, second Saturday at the Depot. August 5th is 50th Annual Tomball Night, Parade of Lights, Health and Wellness Expo. And if we don't have a drought, will we have fireworks at Tomball Night?
We'll have to just play that by ear.
Okay. No. Second Saturday at the Depot, August 13th. And then September 9th through 12th will be the 9/11 21st Anniversary Remembrance, an event to remember for the events of 9/11 at the Depot. September 17th is Groove Fest, 11 to 6 p.m. at the Depot. Now we have reports by staff and members of the council about items of community interest. Drew, you're up. This is Drew Huffman, our new Public Works Director. Introduce you to the crowd. Say hi, Drew.
Hello. Yes, you did.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Bruce Huntington, Director of Public Works. So we're gonna have just a short little staff report on what the city of Tomball's water conservation and drought contingency plan is and why we have it and kind of all the different stages that are going. So with the water conservation and drought contingency plan, so this just really helps the city make decisions, regarding what we do with our water and how we kind of set our regulations on, if we need to go into all the different stages. There's 5 different stages. And I'll go through those stages really involve anything from what we're in right now in stage 1, which is just voluntary water restrictions. And then stage 2 is a mandatory. Stage 3 is still mandatory restrictions, where we have some more restrictions on ourselves, what we do with our water, how we're flushing our hydrants, and then how we educate the public. And then obviously as we go through the stages, it goes into where we restrict contractors from hooking up to our hydrants to the point where if we absolutely had to do it to get to stage 5, or we would start looking for other areas to get water other than the towers and the production that we can make ourselves. Going back to this, so the Texas Water Development Board and TCQ requires us to have this. So this is part of the water master plan and all the regulations. So stage 1 is 60% of our production. So we're using 60 as all of our residents and ourselves, because obviously Tomball uses water also. So the water that's being used versus the water that we're producing, the production is, or the use is 60%, stage 2 is 70%, stage 3, 80, stage 4, 90, stage 5, 95%. We'll kind of show you how we look into it. So what we did is we went through, we put all these different numbers and parameters. Everybody likes graphs. We like graphs, so we can kind of watch what we're doing. So as you can see on the graph that, we have the 60, 70, and 80% lines, so we can really kind of watch what's going on, make sure that we're keeping up with the amount of production versus usage, so we know when to go into those different stage droughts. So I just want to show you these graphs. The next, obviously, decision maker is our temperature versus precipitation. When it's raining, people aren't, hopefully they readjust their irrigation system using water. And then the next one that we use is the KBDI index. So what that index does, that's the fire drought index. So we could keep up with our fire department on what that index is and where it's going. So it did go way up. So that line is the 700 mark. So 700 mark really what it is. It's an indication for forest fires. So in the likeliness of forest fires happening, it really is the moisture content in the soil, and obviously all the undergrowth underneath, whether those leaves are really drying out and how kind of what a tinderbox that is in our forest areas. So really kind of going back to what we talked about with stage 1 through 5, stage 1 is voluntary, stage 2 is a requirement. So we restrict, odd numbers and even numbers on those days that we can be able to water. 70%, we're going to start restricting washing of vehicles and filling the pools. Stage 3, completely eliminate flushing water lines and no connections for contractors to be able to hook our hydrants. Stage 4 is the washing of vehicles and swimming pools. And then stage 5, like I was talking about earlier, is just all non-essential use of water. And then start the emergency response for examining alternative resources for water. This slide here kind of shows you what's on our website right now and our social media, just to let residents know, kind of what our different stages are, where we're at in our stages, and how we make those decisions. That's what I have for our water conservation.
Any questions?
I noticed the last slide you had 2019 date on top of it. Are we keeping that current 2022?
So I can go back to this. So this is taken directly out of our water master plan.
Okay.
So we want to make sure we show that. Obviously, a lot of our plans are being updated, and once our water master plan, along with all of our other master plans, that will be updated really soon. This will be updated also. So really, the stages probably won't change.
I just don't want somebody to see that online and they're not applying to
Online,
us
I believe it
today.
does reference them to this information, which is our water master plan. I can double check that.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Next item, Nathan Dietrich, presentation of City of Tomball's new interactive map.
Mayor, Council, I am very excited to present to you a brief presentation that we put together for you, just to show you a new interactive map that we have available for all of our citizenry and real estate developers, and also, most importantly, you. So why this is so important, I think, for a representative of the city is that you can get to a lot of the information that sometimes would seem very onerous to get. We'd have to call up here, we'd have to make a map and send it. Whereas now all of this information is at your fingertips. And so I'd like to introduce Jared Smith. He is our city planner. He is one of the integral parts of why this is existing today. So I wanted to first give him kudos because he did such a great job on this. And then also to thank the rest of the departments because of how we had to collaborate together in order to get all this information out there. And so with that, I'll pass it up to Jared. He's going to give you a very high level of how this new map works. And if you ever have any questions at all, we'll be happy to walk through it with you personally and or with that, Jared.
Thank you, Nathan, and good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Jared Smith. I'm the city planner for the city of Tomball. It is an honor to present this interactive web map that we have been working on over the past few months. This map was developed in an effort to help increase our transparency as a city, as well as assist the public and city staff in gathering information about particular properties of the city of Tomball. So without further ado, we'll jump into it. Whenever you open this map, well, first you can look at this map from the City of Tomball's website on the home page underneath online services. It's identified as the interactive map. When you open it, you will be greeted with this disclaimer, which is just basically stating that the map is for information and reference purposes only. Whenever you accept that disclaimer, you'll get an aerial overview of the City of Tomball, as well as what the orange lines that you see are the property boundaries according to the Harris County Prison District tax records. Before I kind of dive into the data, I'll just kind of talk about a few of the tools that are available to you in this app. In the top right-hand corner is a search bar, which is configured for you to search by either addresses or HCAD property ID. So in a lot of instances, there's not an address that's been assigned to a property, so you can search for a property tax ID and it will pull it up. So just for good reference, we will come to City Hall. Whenever you search for properties, it will highlight and then pan to in the map frame. In the bottom right-hand corner of this map, there is a zoom tool represented by the plus and minus symbology, which allow you to pan in and pan out on the map. And then there's also a home button, which in the event that you've strayed too far from the City of Tomball, it will quickly bring you back to Old Town Tomball. And then in the top left-hand corner, there are three buttons. The rightmost button is the measurement tool. There are two forms of measurement. This app allows you to utilize a linear measurement as well as an aerial, an area measurement, excuse me. So for example, I'll show you how to do a quick linear measurement. So to begin measuring, you'll choose your measurement method, and then you'll click within the map frame to begin measuring, and then double click to end your measurement. And then the application provides the opportunity for you to change the units of measurement. The default is metric, but you can change it to whatever you feel is appropriate. You can use feet, nautical miles, if you're a sailor. And then the next tool to look at is the base map button. Base map button allows you to change the underlying imagery, which is beneath the data. The default is an aerial image, but you can change it to something that may be more useful to you, such as I have a topographic map in here as well, so I'll show you contour lines if that's something that you're interested in. These are all default base maps that Esri provides for us. So it's back to aerial image. And then the most important button in this application is the layers button. A layers button displays a list of data sets which are available for you to explore in this application. I'll just kind of briefly run through each of these layers, but they all kind of function a lot of the same way. The first one that we'll look at is the zoning layer. When you turn it on, you'll see an array of colors displayed within the map. You can hit this Legends tab, which will identify what each of those colors represent, or you can click within the map frame and a pop-up will be provided to you. And that pop-up will actually identify what that zoning district is. It provides static data such as setbacks, maximum heights that are allowed for the buildings in that zoning district, max lot coverage, and it also provides hyperlinks to additional information. So in this instance, I have a hyperlink for the zoning district regulations, which will direct us back to our code of ordinance for you to learn more about that zoning district that you've selected. And I've also included a hyperlink for a permitted use chart, which identifies all of the uses which are allowed either by right or with the approval of a conditional use permit within that zoning district. So a lot of the questions that we get in my office is, we'll have this piece of property, what can I do with it? So the idea being, now the public can go to this application and they can find out for themselves what they can do with the property without having to get someone.
In addition to that, this is kind of a brainchild of yourselves, because you ask us on a regular basis what these uses are and what we can or can't do. So part of that is for easy access for yourselves. So when these questions do come up, you're able to pull them up at your fingertips.
So the next layer that we'll look at is the future land use plan, which is a lot like the zoning layer. So it provides an array of colors, and a lot like that zoning layer. You can look at the legend to figure out what these colors represent, or you can click within the map frame and a pop-up will also be provided. And with that pop-up, it will identify what the land use category is. So in this instance, it's a neighborhood commercial land use. And if you don't know what that is, there's a hyperlink to a comprehensive plan page, which identifies what that land use category is and what is intended to do. The next layer is the utilities layer. So a lot of questions that we get are in reference to where are the water utilities, where are the sewer utilities, where are the gas lines. So this layer will actually identify the location of these mains, as well as the material types, the relative sizes that we have on record. And as you can see, just left of that layer name, next to the eye icon, there's an arrow, which indicates that it's actually a subcategory layer. So you can come in here and toggle on and off whatever utilities you don't want to see. So in this instance, if I just want to see water, I can actually turn off gas and sewer. It helps kind of eliminate the clutter that is, automatically kind of generated whenever you have all utilities turned on. The next layer we'll look at is the thoroughfare plan, which, as many of you are aware of, the thoroughfare plan identifies planned as well as existing major roadways throughout the city of Tomball. So again, this is just illustrating where those major roadways are at and plan to actually align. The next layer is the FEMA flood hazard area, which identifies, the 100-year, the 500-year floodplains, as well as the floodways, which intersect with the city of Tomball and the surrounding regions. The parcels layer, which I've already kind of hinted at, are the orange lines that appear on the map frame. These are relative property boundaries, which are generated by HCAD. Every year they update their tax parcels, and this is 2021's tax parcel. So they're not the most up to date, but they do give us at least some reference information. I will say that on the parcel pop-up, there is useful information. So it gives you, owner information, gives you address, gives you the HCAD property ID, as well as the legal description. So what subdivision plat is the property out of, and then there are hyperlinks in this pop-up to Harris County Appraisal District's parcel viewer, which is their GIS, where you can go to learn additional information about a piece of property, as well as a hyperlink to Harris County Clerk's website, where you can do document searches for either recorded subdivision plats, or legal instruments, or deed records. And then we'll look at the parks layer, which identifies the locations of city parks, as well as the names of those parks here in the city of Tomball. And then we'll look at the municipal boundaries layer, which identifies city limits in blue and then the ETJ limits in pink. And lastly, the streets layer, which, as the name indicates, identifies the streets and street names. The pop-ups on the street layer, which is also a question that we get a lot of times. Whose right of way is this? Who owns this street? So in this instance, we'll click on West Main, which shows that is a TxDOT right of way. And if I click on, say, Pine Street, it will identify City of Tomball owns that right of way. So again, these tools were generated in an effort to help staff, as well as the general public, as well as you all, to answer basic questions. Obviously, we are still very well available to any questions that may come in outside of what's here, as well as helping people kind of navigate through this application. For additional information about how to use this, there is a help button next to the search bar, which will give you a one-page PDF, kind of like how to everything that I've kind of discussed this evening. And we are working on putting together a how-to video that will also be embedded in this application for those of you who don't care to read. And that kind of concludes my general overview of this application. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those at this time.
And staff would also just like to say thanks very much because you provided us this tool, which helps us on an everyday basis. And this will be an ongoing we will be upkeeping this on a regular basis. And then our goal is to keep on adding more and more data. So we become more transparent and for the ease of information transfer from the citizenry to staff and back and forth. So, thank you.
That's impressive. Oh, go ahead.
Before you step down, phenomenal work, absolutely phenomenal. I've seen a lot of municipalities in my lifetime, being in the business that I was in, and I've never seen something as nice as this. Can we possibly tie this into our agenda items so that when we have an agenda item come up for a zoning issue or something like that, that automatically pops up on our screen, so we don't have to turn around and do this, but we can actually look here and then look at the audience? That'd be really sweet.
Well, that second part, I'm not sure if you're seeing what's on the screen up here or not, but if we can have that all tied in together for sure, that's one of the goals to begin with. We just hadn't actually made everything public as of then. So
It's
yes,
fabulous
of course. And we're hoping to we're going to be trying out some new aerial imagery through for free subscription for about a month with this new company called Nearmap. And so there might be more detailed imagery that we might be able to share with you in the next week.
Excellent work, guys, and staff, fabulous.
If I could just kind of add into that, just to kind of highlight how robust we intend on making this. As far as when things are rezoned, this is a recent zone change request that was adopted. So this pop-up, if you will, is the most complete pop-up. So as you can see at the bottom of it, there's actually a hyperlink to the staff report that was provided to you all prior to that zone change request. So there's information available for the general public as well as staff to reference as far as where our train of thought was and what was provided to the public and to city council at the time that was adopted, as well as the actual ordinance that adopted that zone change request. So just a way for us to kind of elevate our level of transparency and help provide information to the public and staff. So
Oh, yeah, but I
Oh,
love it.
it is. It's great.
Fabulous.
Is this eventually going to be on the website for the general
Currently,
public?
It's on there
It
now.
currently is on the
I'll show
website?
you how to get there.
yes.
Oh,
So from our homepage, scroll to the bottom or near the bottom, you see online services
mhm.
and then the interactive map.
Cool.
There are a couple other spots in our website currently where we also made additional links. So if you have any other suggestions, we're always open here to make sure that we make it readily available.
Okay. And the instructions, your how-to instructions and where to go are on there also.
Right, and then as Jared had mentioned, we also were working with Rebecca on creating a short video, an audio video, and how to do things and
Mhm.
with how to get around and maneuver within the site.
That's great. Very impressive. Really good. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Jared.
Excellent work.
Excellent. The next item is the approval of the minutes.
Mayor, before you go to the next item, I'm not gonna be here on the 1st of August.
Okay.
I will be out, just to let you pre-warning.
Well, and I can add to that, I won't be either.
I will be in recovery, surgical.
Okay.
Better have the rest of it.
Yeah.
I've had COVID.
No, I'm just saying we don't have.
Anybody not had COVID?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, all right. We might look at the agenda, if there's anything that needs to change on August 1st, till we have a full council, we can make adjustments.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of June 20th, 2022, regular city council meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, call for the vote. Are we? Okay. Electronic vote.
Dean's having a problem voting.
I'm hitting refresh. and It won't do anything.
Typical rookie.
That's cool.
Thank you.
That's cool.
Hey, I didn't ever say I was the smartest
You're
guy.
just glad it's not you, right? I had to remind myself what I had to hit.
Is that Chad's old laptop?
That explains it right.
I always
there.
had the issue. Chad's.
I always thought it was user driven.
Oh, operator error.
Yeah.
So it's not me.
It's not yet.
No, it's not.
Amen. Y'all hear that?
For
It's
the
not me.
I've won a lot of other things on you, but not that.
No, it's not me.
Should we take a verbal vote? All right. Do we need to do a roll call vote on this, Marvin? I mean, Marvin.
This is just the minutes, right?
Marvin, just a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right. The next item on the agenda under old business is to adopt on second reading ordinance number 2022-12, an ordinance of the city of Tomball amending chapter 50 of the Tomball Code of Ordinances by changing the zoning district classification of approximate 2.10 acres of land legally described as being a portion of Lot 5 in Tomball Medical Park from agricultural to the office district. Property is generally located within the 13,100 block of Medical Complex Drive on the north side, approximately 250 feet east from the intersection of School Street and Medical Complex Drive, providing for severability, providing for a penalty of an amount not to exceed $2,000 for each day of violation of any provision hereof, making findings of fact and providing for other related matters.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Okay, let's call for the vote.
This is roll call.
Oh, this is roll call. Okay, Councilman Ford,
Abstain.
Councilman Stoll,
Aye.
Councilman Dunnigan.
Aye.
Aye.
Councilman-
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
With one abstention.
One abstention.
It doesn't really count. You abstain, so it still carries unanimously.
With one abstention.
Okay. Second item under old business, remove from table for consideration to adopt on first reading ordinance number 2022-13, an ordinance of the
You
city
can
of,
stop there because we're gonna have to read it on first reading once we, if we get there. So
okay.
we're just
It's
taking
a-
that off the table. We don't have to read the whole chapter.
Okay, so this is just a motion to remove from table.
Yeah, the action is to remove the table. We don't have a motion yet.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got to, yeah, go ahead and we need to vote on that.
Any discussion? Okay, let's call for the vote. Again, verbal vote. Councilman Stahl,
Aye.
Councilman Dunnigan.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously.
Adopt on second.
We've got a motion second already on this from the last meeting. So we're ready for discussion or presentation from Nathan. I think that the question was whether or not we we're going to change it from the commercial district to something else. And I think Nathan looks like he has an answer to that question.
Yes, actually, staff has discussed with the applicant, and the applicant is asking if the city council could table this item for one more meeting. Because they haven't had a chance to discuss this directly with the president. So they need some additional time. And if there are any additional questions from the president, they would like to, the president of the company, I'm sorry. And yeah, so then we could answer any of those questions and then they can be ready for the next meeting.
Okay.
So moved. To table.
So do we need to go ahead and read it for a motion to table again?
No, we've got a motion. I think Randy just seconded.
Okay. So now we call for the vote.
Correct.
All right.
Aye.
Councilman Dunnigan.
Aye.
Councilman Thomas, Councilman Pereira,
Aye.
Councilman Stokes.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Number 3, old business, adopt on second reading ordinance number 2215, an ordinance of the city of Tomball amending the Tomball comprehensive plan by changing the major thoroughfare plan map, providing for severability, providing for a penalty of an amount not to exceed 2,000 for each day of violation of any provision hereof, making findings of fact and providing for other related matters.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Can somebody just clarify again what we're changing it to?
Right, it's not written in there, so.
Yes, of course, sir. The recommendation is, or the request is to downgrade this particular segment of the major thoroughfare plan from major arterial to minor arterial.
Which is 100-foot.
In this particular case, the request is that we could go down to at least 80 feet in width. Yes, sir.
But it's still 4 lanes.
That is correct. At its ultimate building.
Except for the first 200 feet or whatever it is for the entrance into the subdivision, it's supposed to be 100 foot.
That is correct. In this particular case, they have made, and I believe the representative of the client is here, that they would increase that right of way to include boulevard section, so it would have a grand entrance to this particular.
That's what I remember. Okay, thank you.
Or do we need to put that into the motion, the description of exactly what we are amending since it's not in there?
I think that would be a good idea.
Yes, so,
I'll make a motion that we reduce or we keep
Wait
the,
a second, we've already got a motion.
in the second,
And a
it's
second.
in the description, it needs to
Right,
be.
so what we need to know now is we need to have, I know this is the dance that Chad thought I was making up, but we've got to have, Derek wants to amend his motion. We've got to have.
Oh, that's right.
Randy made the motion.
Randy made the motion,
Mhm.
and I've seconded it, so I'm sorry.
I'll amend the motion.
Okay, then we need to vote on whether or not Randy can amend his motion.
Okay, does it need to be a roll call vote?
It does not.
Okay, all in favor of voting to let Councilman Parr amend his motion, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign said no. Okay. It
Now
passed
you get to amend your motion.
unanimously.
I'm in the motion to, I guess we're going to 80 foot on the.
Downgrade from major.
Downgrade
arterial.
from
Downgrade
major
from
arterial
the
to
major to the minor
arterial.
arterial.
Right, for that section of medical complex drive.
That section of medical complex.
Will that be enough?
Do we have to have
I think that
the,
does-
do we have to have the 200 feet or whatever it is, it's gonna be with the Grand Boulevard in there prior to, because otherwise they can just go off the
That's
street and say,
description.
hey, wow.
Right, so my opinion, I would be able to write that into your motion, due to the fact that, you know, a minor arterial is a minor arterial, and a major arterial is a major arterial, so that would be something that we would have to work with the applicant at the time that they submit their construction drawings to.
Okay, as long as we have it clear that this council wants to have that across the street from what we already have to be the same.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Let's call for the vote, and this will be a roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously as amended.
New business. Next item on the agenda is to approve the purchase of 3 vehicles for police through the state buy board cooperative contract from Caldwell County in the amount of $119,815.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. We're presenting request for 3 vehicles, 3 new vehicles out of budget because of the contract we went forward with the ISD adding this box we have there. And because right now, the turnaround for vehicles is a minimum of 10 months.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the purchase of 3 vehicles for police with the state buy board. Cooperative contract from Caldwell Country in the amount of $119,815.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
In the purchase of these are for the SRO, or are these to take and buy vehicles for our current officers and downgrade some of our current vehicles to SRO vehicles?
That is correct, sir. It would backfill the main line, and the ones that are still in good shape will be passed down.
And the upfit cost is another $45,784.
Yes, sir.
So are we voting on the 119, or are we voting on the 161,000? I mean, there's a big difference there, of 45,000.
I think if we're gonna buy the vehicles, we cut it up, then it's gonna be.
So the 119 is just for the vehicles, does not include the outfit.
No, the 119 is just for the vehicles. The upfit also for all the vehicles to go is the 161.
So my question is are we getting those off the cooperative buy board, the upgrades as well?
Yes, sir.
Then we need to have this changed from
It has to be the total purchase price.
119,815 to the full purchase price of 161,714.59.
Yes, sir.
Question. So that additional money, the delivery date on the vehicle itself is when?
Estimated right now, the window for order all vehicles are closed. Two of the 3, we have located vehicles, sir. But the third one, there is none on the ground right now. And the ordering window is supposed to open 1 August. When the ordering window opens, according to the dealership, 10 months is the maximum turnaround that we would see a vehicle on the ground, sir.
And the other 2 we would get when?
If it was approved today, which it can't be now, it'd be by the end of the week.
We can be
Okay.
approved of that.
All right, so
No, we can just-
that additional upfit money for the one that's delivered 10 months down the line,
could be
can we
more.
put that upfit money on the next budget? Or does it have to be approved tonight?
It does not have to be approved tonight. If you'd like to do it that way, we absolutely can.
Well, my concern is that we've already got several items that have come out of budget due to other things. And here's another one, and I fear there's another one down the line on the agenda. And we just keep adding to the out of budget cost, which I have a concern about.
Sure.
So if we can put this off for that third vehicle, if it's 10 months down the line, if we can roll that over into 23, I personally would prefer that.
I understand where you're coming from.
Mhm.
However, in 10 months, and this is a question we need to find out. If we go ahead and snag it now for the price tag that it costs, in 10 months, it may be more money to
Well,
outfit it. So
Is
if we
that
can-
going to be the case?
if that's the case, I suggest we go ahead and snag it now, so we're saving the difference.
And
So-
I'd also like to input that we're still doing very, very well on our sales tax.
I
as far as
understand, but
being,
it's
uh,
inflationary as
above
well.
budget.
Yeah.
So what will happen is that if we, I guess my recommendation at this point now, absolutely hearing you is go ahead, approve, because we expend to that amount. If we can't get the vehicle in 10 months, it's gonna be in next year's budget anyway. And so the update won't happen until it actually is invoiced. And so that will determine which budget year it's gonna go in. So there is absolutely, and I wanna be completely clear on this, that there is an opportunity, because the 2 that we located now, when their cities ordering vehicles, they'll order a certain amount, and whatever happens, that order falls through, the PO is canceled. You've got these extra vehicles that they're trying to get rid of. We're hoping that maybe we can locate another one to finish so we could get it a lot sooner. But the worst case scenario is that we wait till the open period to order one, and that's 10 months from now. So it's kind of a shell game.
So David, can we go ahead and have a motion? Can I amend my motion? And yes, I know, council, we have to go through the amending deal. Can we amend the motion so that we can allow you all to spend up to 161,714
No, you cannot.
You cannot.
No, it was noticed in 119.
We're gonna have to change that.
We could go under it, but we can't go over it. I hate to be that guy, but.
No, that's fine. So that, what this will do is, we can secure the vehicles, the upfit, we can figure out more and then bring that back.
Yeah, you can do it at the next meeting.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll just do that.
Should we table this?
No.
No,
We'll vote for this and bring the other amount. next
Main thing
meeting.
here is to secure the vehicles that we
Yeah.
look.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
It starts over here. Randy.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously.
Next item is consideration to approve a contract for the land-related services to Threshold Land Services for amount not to exceed $100,000.
Council, this item is to approve a contract with Threshold Land Services to obtain an easement along portions of South Cherry from Graham Road to the Hardin Ditch. Based on the Texas Railroad Commission guidelines, we are to replace 8% of our steel lines and components each year. Staff has identified this section on Cherry Street for replacement based on the ability of our operators to maintain the line. As it stands currently, our operators can't weld the lines. If there were issues, we do have to contract it. This contract would be to begin the process of obtaining easements needed for us to complete the design phase of replacing this line.
The only thing on that, it is budget.
I like that answer.
Okay. I have a motion,
Motion?
second,
Second.
It is not. roll call.
discussion.
Yes. Why are they making us go from poly to steel?
No, steel to poly.
Steel to poly.
It's an existing steel line that we're having a design to go to poly.
Enter into an agreement with Kimley Horn for the design of a steel main replacement. Okay, I got you. All right.
Well, that's not, this is.
No, it's for that project, but it's
Yeah,
to
this is the line.
secure the easement to put
Right.
that line in.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right. Call for the roll call vote.
Not roll call.
Oh,
Not roll.
we don't need a roll. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Item 3, reappoint Judge Brett Peabody to the municipal court for terms of office which began October 1st, 22 and end September 31st, 2024.
Council, this item is to reappoint Judge Brett Peabody to the municipal court for a another two-year term. He's been an outstanding judge for us for the last 8 years.
Okay. Thank you. Call for a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Call for the vote. Do we have to do? roll- Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No.
Just for the record, his term terminates on September 30th, 2024,
Yes.
not September 31st.
Okay. Motion carries unanimously.
We're not adding a new day.
No.
Okay.
4 hours this year.
That's why he makes the big bucks.
All right. Item 4, reappoint Chief Prosecutor Grant Stevens to the municipal court for a term of office which begins October 1st, 2022 and ends on September 30th, 2024.
So
Mayor and council, this is to Chief Prosecutor Grant Stevens. He also has provided outstanding service. So we have 2-year term.
Do I have a motion?
so
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, let's call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Item 5, approve requests from Turn 2 Productions to host Texas Hot Sauce Festival in downtown Tomball on Saturday, November 5th through Sunday, November 6th, 2022, with setup on Friday, November 4th. That's Sasha?
Good evening. Unfortunately, I wanted to ask the council to move this item to the next meeting on July 18th. That was a request by Tony Productions.
Okay. So we have a,
Just take no action.
take no action on this item. We don't need to take a vote or anything. Okay. Take no action on item 5, and it will be on the agenda for the next city council meeting, July 18th. Thank you. Item 6, presentation of the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2021.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The audit of the fiscal year 2021 financial statements has concluded, and we have provided you all with the final version of the annual comprehensive financial report, and we also had a single audit this year. We do have Weaver in attendance, so we have Sarah Roberts and Matt Rogers is also here. So Sarah is the audit partner for our engagement, and Matt is the manager. So she is going to give a presentation on the audit process and results.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sarah Roberts. I'm the City of Weaver audit partner for the annual financial statement audit. And as Pat mentioned, Matt Rogers here, senior manager. All right. This is our second year in a row to be performing the city's annual financial statement audits, and we're talking about fiscal year 21 right now. So we audited fiscal year 20 and fiscal year 21. Weaver is a full-service public accounting firm. We're a national firm based in Texas. We have offices coast to coast. We were founded in Fort Worth about 70 years ago, and currently our headquarters is in Houston. So we provide the full range of services to all industries, all types of organizations across the spectrum. Our governmental audit practice is one of the largest in our firm. Currently, we work with over 175 governmental entities annually on the annual audit process, and we are happy to have the opportunity to count City of Tomball as one of those. My presentation tonight, I'll be brief. I have 2 sections really. I'm going to talk about the audit process and the audit results, and then I'll go into an overview of the financial statements. Happy to take questions anytime. The audit process, the audit standards that we conducted our audit in accordance with are the AICPA generally accepted auditing standards, as well as generally accepted government auditing standards. And this year, as Catherine mentioned, uniform guidance audit standards applicable to federal auditors. Those standards require that we take a risk-based approach focused on internal controls and compliance matters. We perform substantive testing throughout the audit process to support the reports that we issue for each part of the audit. This type of audit is referred to as a single audit with 2 components, the financial component as well as the federal award component. We issue separate reports for each of those components. The first component, the audit of the financial statements, we issued a clean opinion on the financial statements. That's an unmodified opinion and is the highest level of assurance that we can provide as external auditors that the financial statements are free from material misstatement. We are required to report certain types of internal control matters, including material weaknesses and significant deficiencies in internal controls. We did identify one finding, which we labeled as 2021-001, which I'll talk about in a moment. As far as compliance related to the financial statements, we did not identify any material items as non-compliance. The second component, which is the audit of federal awards, we also issued an unmodified clean opinion on federal award compliance. And in terms of internal controls over compliance, we did not identify any reportable findings, no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies. Our major program this year was CDBG, the Disaster Recovery Fund related to the 2016 floods and drainage. All right, so I mentioned that we had one finding. The finding that we reported for 21 is really a repeat of the 2020 finding. So I will discuss the status of each of those findings. We had 3 findings last year. The first we classified as a material weakness, and this was related to audit material misstatements we identified, timeliness of control activities, and we reported this as recurring, partially resolved, in acknowledgement of significant improvement in this area, but still improvements needed. We reported this finding in August of 2021, at which time we knew that this finding affected fiscal year 21 as well as 20. So we're reporting this as recurring partially developed. Significant deficiencies we identified last year, we are not reporting as recurring. These were specifically pertaining to reconciliation of restricted funds and IRS reporting. With that, any questions on the other process findings? Okay, I'll move into the second section, which is financial review. The first of the city's financial statements is a statement of net position. And here I've included a comparative presentation. You can see that the largest component is capital assets, which is in orange, followed by cash and equivalents, which is blue. Largest change here was an increase in capital assets related to medical complex drive and also the drainage improvements, which I mentioned previously. Long-term debt, long-term liabilities decreased. And here's the various components of the decrease here. The biggest change really here is a shift between general obligation bonds and current certificates of obligation due to the issuance and refunding overall, resulting in consistency year-over-year. Shifting focus more narrowly to the general fund. Here you see 5-year trends with revenues and expenditures tracking together each year, except for the COVID. The year that always stands out to everybody, 2020, you can see the dip in revenues, falling under expenditures, largely due to sales tax declines. And then of course, 2021, we rebounded that revenue source. So you can see the continued growth of fund balance. General fund expenditures, consistent components year-over-year. Going back a little bit, I'll point out that the expenditure lines in yellow really follows a steady track, increasing, I believe, on average about 2% per year. You can see the composition of the expenditures is very consistent with an overall 2% steady increase, really tracking with payroll growth being accepted. That's it for me tonight. I want to just take a moment to thank your staff. I want to acknowledge that we were auditing fiscal year 21, and many of you, your staff members were not here during fiscal 21. So that's an added challenge there, and really certainly appreciate all of the efforts and collaboration. Questions?
Thank you. This is just for presentation. We do not have any items that we need to, do we need to accept the audit? Okay.
You don't have next one.
Okay. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations. That's very good. As a CPA, I love seeing those opinions. So.
Well, I guess just real quick, Mayor, if you allow me to, thank you to all of the finance department staff. I mean, as Sarah or said, that a lot of the staff wasn't here in place. And so there was a lot of work that needed to be done. And there was a tremendous amount of work that was completed this year in this audit. And I can tell you, just going through the different ones, this audit was challenging, but there wasn't anything that these guys didn't get up and get corrected and get things done. And so we are on a very, very good direction in order for next year. The audit's going to be even better. So thank you guys.
Yeah. And just for the audience, the management report issue that was brought up was a carryover from the year before. And because of the timing of the year end. So it's something that has been worked on, and it was a carryover though. And same item, but probably won't be carried over next year. Thank you. Thank you. Good job. Item 7. Approve resolution 2022-24, resolution of the City Council of the City of Tomball designating the city manager as the authorized official program director of the city to apply for grants for the Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority Auxiliary Grant Program and execute the necessary documents, and designating the finance director, Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority Auxiliary Grant Program. So would you like to?
Yes, ma'am. So PD has identified this as a potential grant that we can get, and it utilizes existing equipment. You guys, correct me if I'm wrong, existing equipment that we have in the patrol vehicles that we have now. And what this grant would do would allow us to convert or switch over the in-car cameras into LPRs, which is the license plate readers. And so this, if we get it, it would be a good piece of equipment to have.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, discussion, questions?
And so the grant, talk about that. How does that work?
You have details on that? I think it's an 80-20.
Yes, sir. The grant is funding us to, excuse me. The grant is funding us, sir. So basically, the in-car cameras we have two lenses to switch, basically just flip the switch to turn it on. That way, now we have 13 vehicles on the street that are reading license plates while they drive around at all times versus 2.
Okay. And how much is the grant?
You know those details?
No.
I believe it's up to 20,000. I believe it was similar to the other grant that we applied, and we're responsible for 20%.
20%. Okay.
So it's a minimal
Yeah.
contribution grant.
Any other discussions or questions? Okay, let's call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. We will now go into executive session. The city council will meet in executive session as authorized by Title V, Chapter 551, Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, for the following purpose: consultation with city attorney regarding the matter which attorney's duty requires to be discussed in closed session. Our personnel matters, deliberation of the appointment of employment duties of public officers or employees, police department, and deliberation regarding security devices. So we will be going into. Pardon?
It is now.
Yeah, it is now 7:04. When we reconvene, there will be no action taken. Now, y'all are welcome to stay to see us adjourn if you'd like to.
And keep staff company.
And Lauren?
Thank you.
What is
Always
Tommy's
the
last
willing.
name? Do what? What is Tommy's last name? I'll find out when I get in there. Write it down when you get in there. But you'll have to tell me. That way, because you have to close the, if you run the thing on the outside.